Open the door right now. I hear it every day. Every single day I hear it trying to get into my room. It could summit any moment, but it doesn't want to. That scene is just playing with me. It's playing with my mind. It's driving me insane. It knows that sooner or later I'll open the door. It knows I won't be able to hold out forever. I'm only human. I need food, water. I'm just a pathetic human. While it doesn't have to worry about things like that. Everything that's happening to me is entirely my fault. This is the price I'm paying for my stupidity and my jealousy. My story began a few days ago when a new guy joined our office. He was assigned as my assistant, but the bastard was better than me at everything. We worked together for almost a month, and he drove me crazy with his initiative. He was always coming up with new ideas to improve our work. He always had to stick his nose into everything. Who even asked him who needed any of this? But no, Mark always had to put in his 2 cents. The management loved that attitude. A young, promising employee who was bringing something new into the daily office routine. But I couldn't stand the guy. One day, as I was walking past the boss office, I overheard our CEO talking to Mark. He was praising him, saying he was doing an amazing job. He had only been with the company for months, yet he was already so valuable. He told him to keep it up and said he'd probably earn a bonus. The bonus didn't bother me. Something else did. The CEO joked that if Mark kept working like this, he might even get promoted someday. Of course, it was mostly a joke. Who would promote a new employee after only a month? That's exactly what I told myself. But the feeling wouldn't go away. If things kept going like this, that bastard could take my position. I'd worked at that company for years. I had a good reputation there, but who could guarantee they wouldn't throw me away once they no longer needed me? I had to do something. I couldn't let some newcomer take what I'd spent years building. I just couldn't. I clenched my fist and kept walking. For several evenings, I couldn't stop thinking about what I should do. How could I get rid of that smug little show-off? The most obvious answer came to mind. Kill him. Of course, I laughed at myself right away. I wasn't exactly a good person, but I wasn't capable of something like that. So then what? Make him quit? But how? Be an asshole and dump more work on him? Maybe, but what would my coworkers think? It would be too obvious. No, that wouldn't work. Then what? Report him to the boss? That wasn't much better. Even my reputation wouldn't help me there. I started searching the internet. Maybe someone had been in a similar situation. After spending several hours looking, I still couldn't find anything useful. None of the advice I found would actually help me. Then I came across one website. It described a magical ritual, a curse that could be placed on someone you hated. There were detailed instructions explaining exactly what to do. But that evening I just smiled to myself and closed my laptop. Magic. Interesting, sure, but I wanted something a little more reliable. Then, the very next day, something happened that completely pushed me over the edge. Like always, I arrived at the office. I was a couple of minutes late because I had overslept. Of course, that overachiever had already been there for a while. He walked up to me with that smug smile on his face and proudly told me there had been an email from one of our business partners. They just needed confirmation that we wanted to continue working together. Mark told me he'd gone ahead and replied for me because they were our regular partners. And of course, we were going to continue working with them. We discussed it at the last meeting, after all. He said it like he was expecting me to praise him for being so proactive. Thanks, Mark, I said through gritted teeth. You can go now." He nodded and still, wearing that same smile, walked back to his desk. This might sound stupid, maybe even strange, but at that moment I was filled with rage. I wanted to walk over and punch that smug bastard right in the face. Who the hell did he think he was? Messing with my work, replying to emails for me. Unfortunately, all of that stayed inside my head. For some reason, I just couldn't bring myself to yell at him. But that seemingly small thing ruined my entire day. He kept running around the office, helping everyone and showing off how proactive he was. It pissed me off so much that my teeth were grinding. I left work early. I just wanted to relax and forget about everything. Sitting at home with a cup of hot tea, I remembered the ritual. It was all nonsense, or was it? I opened my laptop and the first thing in my browsing history was the page with the ritual. Everything that had happened that day came rushing back into my head. All the anger I'd been holding inside. I stopped thinking. I simply read the instructions and started following them. There was nothing difficult about it. All I needed was a photo of the person I wanted to curse, some candles and a mirror. I don't want to describe the ritual itself, in case someone decides to copy it. Honestly, it wasn't difficult at all. It felt like someone else was controlling me. I didn't understand what I was doing. My ability to think logically had completely disappeared. I finally came back to my senses only after everything. Was finished. Reality hit me when I was standing there, holding Mark's burnt photograph in my hands. God, I'm such an idiot. 30 years old and I'm doing this, I said out loud before laughing. Just a stupid thing I did because I was angry. I cleaned up everything around the mirror, went back to bed, pretended nothing had happened, and closed my eyes. The next morning, for some reason, I felt great. My mood was surprisingly good. You'd never guess I was about to drag myself to work that early. When I walked into the office, everyone looked pale. "Morning, guys," I said. They quietly greeted me back. "Why does everyone look so miserable?" One of my coworkers looked at me in surprise. "Wait, you don't know?" "Know what?" He glanced at the others before speaking. "Mark, he's dead." The smile disappeared from my face instantly. I just stared at him, frozen, convinced that it had to be some kind of joke. "What do you mean? How? When?" "Last night. They found him outside his apartment building. People saw he jumped from the 12th floor." "God," one of the accountants quietly said. "I can't imagine what his wife is going through. I can't even describe what I felt at that moment. It was a mix of horror and confusion." Everyone quietly returned to their desks, and the whole office felt heavy. I wanted him gone, I really did, but not like this. Wait, what did any of this have to do with me? What had I actually done? Why did I suddenly feel guilty? Because of the ritual? That's ridiculous. Magic isn't real. Curses don't exist. I kept telling me that all day, but I couldn't stop thinking about the coincidence. Things like this happen. It wasn't my fault. It was just bad luck. Who knows what was going through his mind? Maybe all that corporate bullshit drove him crazy. What did it have to do with me? I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying everything that had happened. Then, sometime around 2 in the morning, I heard footsteps. They were quiet, barely noticeable. You could easily convince yourself you imagined them, but I know I heard something. The next morning, I had to go to Mark's funeral. I really didn't want to, but I also didn't want everyone at work to think I was an asshole who couldn't even show up for a coworker's funeral. So I went. The atmosphere was heavy. My coworkers and I stood not far from Mark's family. His wife was pregnant. It was impossible not to notice. God, she was crying so hard. It felt like even Mark's parents weren't grieving as much as she was. Watching her made me sick to my stomach. I just wanted to leave, so I did. Before they lowered the coffin into the ground, I told everyone I wasn't feeling well and headed toward the exit. That's when I saw it. A dark, hunched figure was standing near the gate. I honestly don't know how to describe it, but one thing I know for sure. It wasn't human. The figure disappeared the moment I looked at it. My head started pounding and I hurried home. I caught a taxi, got in and rested my forehead against the window. A moment later, I glanced at the rear view mirror. It was there again, that same creature. I rubbed my eyes over and over like a madman. "Are you alright?" the driver asked. "Yeah, I'm fine," I replied, breathing heavily. He gave me a suspicious look, but didn't say another word. When I got home, I tried to relax, but it was impossible. I couldn't stop thinking about the funeral, about Mark's wife, the way she cried over him. But what does any of this have to do with me? I shouted, gripping a bottle of alcohol. Who was I even talking to? I was alone, right? Then I heard the footsteps again. Slow, heavy, one after another. They echoed through the entire apartment. "Who's there?" I yelled. I was talking to empty air. Everyone watching me would have thought I'd gone insane. I was exhausted. I just needed to lie down. I started walking from the kitchen toward my bedroom when I heard the footsteps behind me again. "You killed him." I froze. I couldn't even turn around. The voice came again. Slowly, still gripping the bottle, I turned around. It was standing in the hallway, the same hideous creature I'd seen at the cemetery and in the taxi. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I couldn't make a sound. The creature started walking toward me. That's when my body finally reacted. I ran. I rushed into my bedroom, slammed the door shut, and pushed every piece of furniture I could find against it. "It wasn't me! It wasn't me! Leave me alone!" I screamed at the top of my lungs. The creature began pounding on the door, repeating the same words over and over like a chant. "You killed him." "I didn't do anything. It was just a coincidence." Then, "Every ritual has a price. You sent him to hell. Now it's your turn." No, stay away from me." Panic completely took over. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't think straight. All I could do was sit there and listen as it kept trying to get inside. I was terrified. God, what had I done? I never wanted this. Then my phone rang, an unknown number. Without thinking, I answered. "Hello, who is this?" "Why did you do it? Why did you kill my husband? Why did he ever do to you?" It was Mark's wife. "What are you talking about? I didn't do anything." But she didn't listen. She just kept repeating the same question over and over, as if she wasn't a real person anymore, but a recording. I hung up, but my phone wouldn't stop ringing. My coworkers, my boss, friends, even my parents, every single one of them kept asking me the same question. Why did you kill Mark? How was that even possible? I had only performed one stupid ritual. Why was all of this happening to me? I wished someone would wake me up and tell me it was all just a nightmare. But this nightmare never ended. The pounding on my door continued while I sat in my room. I don't know how much time passed. The sun rose, then set, then rose again. The knocking never stopped, not even for a second. My phone kept ringing constantly, even after I turned it off, even after the battery died. Eventually, I threw it out the window just to make the noise stop. I was hungry, thirsty. I was exhausted. I tried searching the internet. I even went back to the same website where I'd found the ritual. It was useless. Every website I opened showed the same message. Why did you kill him? I threw my laptop out of the window too. Yes, I made a terrible mistake. I performed a forbidden ritual. I reached out to something no human should ever come into contact with. It granted my wish. It got rid of Mark. And now it was time to pay the price. Or maybe I'd simply gone insane. Maybe none of this was real. Maybe. But there was only one way out. The window in front of me was wide open. I lived on the 12th floor, just like Mark. Funny coincidence, isn't it? There was only one way left for me to atone what I'd done.